We are live. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are live. And this morning here on Man Talk Live, I have a question for you. Are you struggling to turn some important things around in your life as a man and in your household? Well, this morning, we're going to get into 7 important tips on why you need to have a winner's mindset, not on the field of play, but on the household and in your life as a man. And we're starting right now. Hi, my name is Walter Strong, the host of Real Men Rising YouTube channel, where we share helpful tips to inspire men like yourself to lead by love and integrity in your home. And as we said in this morning's opening, we're going to get into 7 tips on why you need to have a winner's mindset, not on the field, on the gridiron field of the football game, or on the courts of the basketball game, but in the household that you lay your head down at every night and you get up every morning as a man. And so if you're new here this morning, let me know in the chat where you're watching me from. Give me a hashtag Team Live. And if you're going to be watching the replay of this episode of Man Talk Live, do me a favor. Give me a hashtag Team Replay in the comments section. Let us know where you're watching this from. And as we get into this content this morning, the importance of why you need to have a winner's mindset, why I need to have a winner's mindset. And so as I put this content together, this content really was inspired by, watching the movie Coach Carter. If you've ever seen the movie Coach Carter, it is a movie with Samuel L. Jackson, who is a former player of the Richmond Oilers in Richmond, California, who returns home to his community and takes the job as the new head coach of the Richmond Oilers, a team that needs a lot of work in being able to be a winning high school program, to be able to not only win on the court, but to help their players, their students, to win in life and to be able to graduate. One of the stats that are quoted in the movie, which we will get in later on in the scene, as he's sitting down with the players after the basketball season now has been put on pause because the players unfortunately did not honor their contract in keeping their GPA grade point average up. And so as a result, the season was put on pause by the coach, but there was great pressure by parents and school faculty to take the chain off of the gym to allow the young men to play. But one of the stats that he shared with them was that in their community, 33% of men of color, Black men of color, between the ages of 18 to 25, would at some point be locked up and incarcerated. And not once, but through a cycle of prison recidivism, would end up having their life altered, where they would spend majority of their life in prison. They would not graduate from high school, and they would not go on to go to college. And so the graduation rate of Black men in Richmond High School was very low. And so what was most important to this Coach Carter, was not only for the players to win on the court, but to win by crossing the stage, graduating, and being able to be put in the best position to go to college. Not just through their athletic abilities, but through their academic success that they would put into practice and apply themselves as young men. And so it's a very inspiring movie. And you come to understand that having a winner's mindset is not just about being on the court. playing on court and winning on court, but it's about winning in life, winning as a young man growing up and taking the next steps into adult manhood. And so that's what inspired me to want to share this episode, that we as men, though we may not play professional basketball like most men do, and women in the WNBA, we may not play professional basketball, we may not play professional football in the NFL, but we do every day are engaged in a game of life, of being able to be a protector, a provider, and a man of integrity in our lives. And so we need to know how to win. We need to know how to win in life. We need to be able to overcome some of the challenges that face us in life. And so let's get into this content this morning on the importance of having a winner's mindset. And each of these points that I share comes from some of the clips that you can find on YouTube. If you type in Coach Carter and you put in movie clips, there's several of them. But if you look at the clips between 1 through 9, these points come from each of these clips that I was watching this week. Or you can just be able to take some time and watch the movie. And so the first tip and point that I want to share and to stress, if you are going to have a winner's mindset as a man, it's important for you and me to understand that life is not just about me and you. Life is about me and you and others that are connected to us. There is a greater purpose in why we're here. We don't get up every morning and put our feet to the floor, which we should be grateful for, to be able to be breathing and having the activity and the uses of our limbs one more time to experience a new day that we've never experienced before. We should be appreciative of that, but we need to also understand there is a greater purpose why we're here. We're not just here by accident. We're not here just for another day and another dollar, as most people will say when you speak to them throughout your journey of your day or at work. We're not here for another day and another dollar. There is a greater purpose why we're here. And part of that greater purpose, especially if we have a family as a man, that there are people who are depending upon us. They're looking to us. They're looking to us for as men to be a provider, and providing not just financial resources, but to provide love, but to provide care, to provide respect, to provide guidance, in helping their day be the best day they can experience. Our sons, our daughters, our spouses, there is a greater purpose in why we're here. And we need to understand that. Yes, sometimes when the wife comes and she wants a hug and a kiss, yes, it can be a sacrifice for us as men, because we got to give our wife a hug and a kiss, especially when you've been married 10 to 15 years, and that passion of wanting to give her a hug and a kiss like you did in the first 5 years is not as exciting as it used to be in the earlier days. And now in the latter time of your marriage, she wants that affection, she wants that love, and you want to say, honey, I love you, I love you, honey. But she says, no, I want to feel that love. I want to feel that embrace. I want to feel your lips upon my lips. A greater purpose. A greater purpose. When you have that young 2-year-old, 3-year-old little girl or boy that you put on the bus at the bus stop, and you wave to them as the bus is taking off, there's a greater purpose in why you need to be able to take your young person to school. And there's a greater purpose in greeting them when you get home from work and they run into your arms and they say, Daddy, I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad that you're home. It's a greater purpose in why you're here. But sometimes when they become teenagers and they go off to go to college and they come home and they visit, that excitement and joy of seeing you when you come through the door is not as expressed as it once was. And sometimes you scratch your head and say, hey, I'm just here. I'll just go over here into the corner and grab the TV remote until they take it from me. No, 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 no. There's a greater purpose why you're here. And so it's important as men that we understand that we need to have a winner's mindset, especially, yes, all of us as men, but especially to us as Black men, especially us as men of color. We need to understand this. The same way that this message was communicated in Coach Carter to men of color, young men of color, particularly the African American Black male, stressing the importance of not just being successful on the basketball court, but being successful in the classroom, being willing to sit up in the front of the class and attending class every day. As that message was important to them, it's important to us as men that when we go out and we take the garbage, that we come back in. That when the wife needs help with laundry, though you may not be, an iron chef, you may not be able to beat Bobby Flake in the kitchen as an iron chef, but you're willing to help out in other ways as a man. There's a greater purpose in why we're here. And that greater purpose starts with understanding that we need to have a winner's mindset. Yes, we are going to go through challenges in life. We are going to experience crisis in our lives. Yes, there are times where we may experience a loss from time to time in our life, but we can't forget the importance that though we may not win at everything in life that we put our hands to do, we still need to understand we need to have a winner's mindset and a greater purpose in life. My next point is we need to understand life is, as I said, is not just about us. Life is not just about you. Life is not just about me. Life is about our team. Now, there may not be a jersey that you're wearing, number 11, with your name on the back saying strong. And if you do have a jersey with your name on it, with your number on it, with your family team name on it on the front, hey, all the more to you. You understand that life is not about just you. It's about your team. It's about your family. It's about your sons, your daughters. It's about your children. It's about your spouse, your wife. It's about your mother and your father. There's a team that's depending upon you. And not just the team that's in the four walls of your household, but the team of men that look to you, that you connect with, whether on the job, whether at church, or in the community. There is a team that you are a part of. There is a team of young men that you can be engaged with through mentoring young boys and helping them to transition from being boys in the hood to becoming men of God. There is a team that we can be a part of. And unfortunately, too many of us as men, we get the I want to be like Mike syndrome. I want to be like Mike. What do I mean by that? Yes, Michael Jordan was successful in winning 6 championships. But it's quoted that as he was winning these 6 championships, he told one of his assistant coaches, Tex Winters, that though there is no I in team, there is I in winning. And so Michael Jordan was known from time to time, though he was a part of a great and successful dynasty of winning championships, that he focused a lot on himself. He made a lot of things about him instead of always keeping the focus on the team. He was on record about that. He was quoted on that. But any true team, any winning team that's going to be successful understand that it's not about the individual, it's about the team. Each and every person plays a part on the team being a winning team, having a winning mentality, having a winning attitude. Even when they experience loss, they still have a winning mindset, a winning mentality. And that's a great lesson for us as men when we are engaged in our community, mentoring young boys, mentoring and being a strong male presence to our young girls that may not be our blood, but they need a male and fatherly presence in their lives. Being a part of a men's group, being a part of a men's fellowship, understanding that we are a part of a team and it's not just about ourselves. And so some of the times, most times, the reason why we struggle in life, in our personal lives, in our family lives, in our and other areas of our lives is because we make it about ourselves and we forget that others are depending upon me and you. And so we need to understand, if we are going to have a winning mindset, we have to understand that there is a greater purpose and that there is a team that we are a part of. We may not, you may be a single man. You may be a single man. You may not be married. You may not be a man who has children, but you still can be a part of a team. Hey, I want to say good morning to a good friend of mine, Ender Trading, here on Real Men Rising Man Talk Live this morning. Good morning, sir. Good morning. Said he has to stop. He said, let's go over here to what he says. Said, have you stopped going live on your other channel? Yes, I did. Ender Trading. Kind of finally put the huddle to bed. I felt it was time for me to make a pivot and to get more into making some more serious, important content, such as encouraging men to be great husbands, devoted fathers, and men of integrity. And so I felt it was time to kind of pivot from making YouTube content and doing live stream. And so I kind of pivoted to that. And so I've been doing this now for about close to almost 6 months. So this is where you can find me now, Ender Trading, here on Real Men Rising. Here Saturday mornings, our normal time at 11 a.m. And so I'm glad you found me. I'm glad you found me. I'm glad you are a part here this morning on the audience. And so we are talking about 7 tips on the importance of why you need to have a winner's mindset as a man, especially if you have a team, you have a wife, or you have a son or a daughter, or have children who look to you. Because I realize it can be tough as a husband, it can be tough as a father, it can be tough and being a man in today's time, and we need to be able to encourage one another as men. We need to encourage one another. And so moving on to our next tip is the importance of, there are times, though we understand there is a greater purpose and we are a part of a team that we want to see win in life, there are times where we're going to face opposition against our convictions of what we believe in so passionately about, that when others don't stand with us, we still have to stand alone. If you go back and if you've never seen the movie Coach Carter, I'll give you a spoiler alert. So maybe you want to just kind of put me on mute for a minute, and I don't want to spoil, but if you've seen Coach Carter, then you'll kind of understand this clip in the movie where the team is being very successful in winning on the court, but the players are not winning in the classroom. They're not honoring their commitment of the contract that they signed, that they would keep their GPA, grade point average, above I think it was like 2.50 or something like that. They were not attending class. And so when it became evident, because the teachers were reporting back to the coach and they was giving them progress reports on how his players were doing. Well, when he made the decision to put the pause on the season, and he put the lock on the gym when they couldn't play anymore, there began to be opposition from parents. There began to be opposition from people in the community. There began to be opposition even from the school against the basketball coach, that he needed to take the lock off the gym and to let the boys play. But because of his convictions, that it wasn't so much in terms of punishing them about why they couldn't play on the court, but he wanted to stress the importance of them, that when you sign a contract, now understand that these young men are 17, going to be 18 years old. And so he's trying to teach them the importance of signing a contract, that you need to honor your word. You need to keep your commitment and going to class and keeping your grade point average at a point where it needs to be. That's the lesson he was trying to teach them. He was trying to teach them to be men, not just on the basketball court, but be men, young men in their communities, and one day be young men who would grow up to be productive men in their society. That's the lesson that he was trying to teach them. But the opposition that he was getting was coming from him at all sides. Like I said, from people in the community to people pulling up a side next to him and asking him to roll his window down, and then they spit on him, and or come to his place of work and they throw a brick through his window of his place of his business. He was getting threats. But the message that he communicates, Samuel Jackson communicates in the movie, is that sometimes you have to stand alone. When you know you're standing on principle and you're standing for the right things, you have to stand alone. There are times as a man, as a father, as a husband, that you see certain things in your household that you need to stay the course on, but yet the children are not in agreement with you. The wife is not walking in the direction that she needs to be walking in because of, right now she's just trying to please others. She's trying to please in-laws. She's trying to keep the children happy. But you as the man see that, no, we need to stay the course in this direction, or on your job, or in your church, or in your community. There are times we need to stand alone. And so what ultimately happens is that though he stands on his principles and his convictions, the school board votes him out as the basketball coach and has him replaced. And they basically cut the chain off the gym so that the season can resume. But here's what the opposition failed to understand. When you are a man of principle, you are a man of integrity, and you are pouring into other people the right things. They may not acknowledge, sometimes, like our children, we tell them important right things that they need to know and to live by. And sometimes we wonder, are they paying attention? Are they listening? Well, guess what? Once the chain got cut off the gym, the players, they went back to the court, but they wasn't playing basketball. They began to start studying, getting their grades and the GPA right. That's where their element was. They felt like they couldn't be successful in the classroom, so the teachers brought the classroom to the court. And so it validated, it confirmed to Coach Carter that, yes, there are times where we need to stand alone. We need to stand alone as men, especially if for the betterment of others. So the question that I have for you today, as a man, you're maybe going through some very hard and difficult things and you feel like you're alone. If it's based upon principle, and if it's based upon the convictions of helping others have a better quality of life continue to stand. Continue to stand. Though you're getting opposition from every side and every direction, from people that you think that should be supporting you, and they're not supporting you, continue to stand. And what you're going to find is the people that you're standing for will eventually come around. They'll come around. Hey, we are talking about 7 tips on why you need to have a winner's mindset in your life as a man to be a great husband, a devoted father, and a man of integrity. Let me know in the chat where you're watching me from this morning. Give me a hashtag Team Live in the chat. And while you're in the chat on live, put a time where you needed to stand alone on a principle or conviction that was for the better of others. Did you stand, or did you cave in to the pressure of pleasing others? Let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, you know what to do. Hashtag Team Replay in the comments section. All right. So we talked about greater purpose. We talked about being a part of a team. I skipped over a better life. So we jumped over the stand alone, but let's go back to a better life. What led to this standing alone and this confrontation where he gets voted out as the head coach of the Richmond Oilers? Well, as I said before, because the players were not honoring their contract, they began to have a sit down amongst themselves and be able to have a conversation with the coach and to be able to be real and to say, here's how we really feel about this, because success can bring challenges. When you start to win in life, you start to have victory in your life, you start to have breakthrough in your life, things starting to turn around for the better for your life. Success can have challenges. And that's what these young men were having. They were being challenged on the importance of why they needed to keep their word and the contract they signed. And he shared with them that he wanted a better life for them, because he shares with them that because Richmond High was a school that had a very poor graduating rate of young Black men and men of color. Only 1 out of 3 would graduate. 33% of men of color would end up going to jail or prison. So if you wasn't going to college, and if you wasn't going to the military, what was your least like destination you would be going to? Prison. And that's not what he wanted for them. He asked one young man, he said, what does your father do? He said, my father's not in my life right now. He's, and he basically says, my dad's in prison. And so the very things that he was trying to convey to them, that the mistakes that their fathers and their grandfathers or uncles or brothers made, he didn't want to see them. He wanted them to have a better life. As you look at your life at the stage of where you are in life, do you remember when you were 18 to 21 years old? And do you remember those times where you would hear on the news reports that, particularly for me in the streets of Detroit, that a young man between 18 to 21 within 5 years would either be in prison or dead, shot in the streets? That was the narrative that was being communicated in my city where I was from. And so I was very determined not to be a part of that narrative. And so because I only had a GED and I didn't have a college degree, I knew I needed to make some changes in my life. My father, he wanted me to go work into the car plant. He wanted me to go work for Chrysler and for Ford. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do something better with my life. But I understood doing something better in my life meant that I needed to leave the city of Detroit and to go live somewhere else. Now, my parents were strongly against that. They wanted me to live in Detroit. Me being the only male in the family, Every time I talked about going to the military, they were against it. They didn't want me as their only son going into the military because they felt that something could happen to me. When I thought about joining the police force, they felt like I'm the only male. You're putting yourself at risk. So it was like the things that I wanted to do, but having very overprotective parents. You've ever had overprotective parents and you want to just do certain things in your life as a young man? You want to have a better life for yourself, but yet you have very overprotective parents and overprotective people who are trying to protect you. And so how do you find that better life? You find that better life by embracing change. And for me, change was moving to another state and starting over again. Well, today now I've been fortunate to be married for over 25 years to, I'm sorry, 23 years to one woman, happily married. I've been a father now for close to now 20 years. Can't give you the exact age because of my young princess finds out I gave out her age on this live stream. If she finds out the replay, I'll get jacked up. And and have a pretty stable job that helps me to support and take care of my family, to keep a roof over our heads. To me, that's all part of a better life and having a winner's mindset. Have there been challenges? Have there been struggles? Have there been setbacks? Have I experienced loss? Yes, I'm quite sure you have as well. The important thing is understanding that you're doing all of this for a better life. And so you got to have a winner's mindset to understand that there's a greater purpose, that you're part of a team. There is a better life. You're standing alone. But most importantly, throughout this theme of Coach Carter in this movie, it teaches us the importance of us as men, not just for us as men, but teaching our young men that we have to be men of integrity. We have to keep our word. And so when we sign a contract, whether if it's a contract in terms of how we will perform in the classroom, or a contract in terms of how we will perform and how we will to do our jobs and our daily job that we do Monday through Friday, we got to keep our word. We're living in a society and time now where keeping your word is not as valued as it important as it once was. And we as men, we need to be able to teach our sons the importance of keeping your word. We need to teach our daughters the importance of keeping your word. Because if you keep your word, you'll be able to keep your word even when people are not looking or not present. Integrity is about keeping your word and honoring your commitment when people are there and when they're not there, when people are not looking. And then another point I want to share with you is that the movie teaches the importance of encouraging our young men, encouraging our young women that they can be rich men and women. You say rich? Now, I'm not talking monetary. I'm talking about in your character. In your character as a person. Being rich is so much more than wealth. It's about character. It's about you as a person and how people see how you conduct and carry yourself. Having a conduct and behavior that others say, man, I want to be like that person. A conduct and a character that demonstrates communication to others, that they feel like when you communicate to them, you make them feel that they are important. And then part of your communication is you understand that you're willing to be an active listener in listening to them, to let them know that their opinion matters. That's what being a rich man is. You know, they have a saying towards the end of the movie, is the movie's ending, and they said, you know, where what if I had the opportunity to coach anywhere, um in the state, which high school will I choose? And the guy says, Richmond. He says, no, rich what? Rich men. Rich what? Rich men. What do we love? Rich men. Not rich mun, but rich men. Are you a person rich in character? Are you rich in your conduct? Are you rich in your communication, that when you communicate to people, you let them know that they are important, that their opinion matters, and you're willing to be an active listener? That's what it's all about, being a rich man. And then finally, I love this, and I was listening to this even before we went live this morning. The importance of understanding our deepest fear. What is your deepest fear? Ender Trading, if you're still listening to me live, what is your deepest fear? Those of you who are watching the replay, what is your deepest fear? Our deepest fear is this question is from a poem that was written. I don't know the name of the author, but I've heard this poem, this quote, two times in a movie. The first time I've heard it was in Akilah to the Bee with Keke Palmer, and then in Coach Carter. But when I took the time to go back and listen to it in Akilah the Bee, I got clarity in terms of what this really meant. Because sometimes when you ask a man, what is your deepest fear? Sometimes you ask a football player, a quarterback, a wide receiver, a running back, they'll tell you their deepest fear is being afraid to be hit by an imposing player where they end up losing the ball and they don't move the ball down the field into the goal line. That can be their deepest fear. But it goes deeper than that. And so when you get a chance, look up our deepest fear, the quote, the poem. And it says, our deepest fear is not about us feeling inadequate, but our deepest fear is about understanding how powerful we are. It's not about us feeling inadequate, but how powerful we are. And we can be afraid of how powerful we are as men. We can be afraid not of the dark, but the light that is inside us that we have to be willing to let shine. And if we allow our lights to shine that God has placed in us, it will give others permission to let their light shine. But because we as men, we don't understand this, particular young men, they don't understand this. Particularly the young man in the movie, when he is challenged about this new way of winning, he becomes confrontational. He becomes disrespectful. He begins to basically try to prove himself that his toughness is greater than the authority that was before him, and then ultimately gets kicked out of the gym. And that's like some of us as men. When we get challenged, we think we can get by on our toughness. We can get by on our reputation that we've built. But our deepest fear is we fear ourselves, of who we can be. And so if you're going to have a winning mindset as a husband, as a father, and as a man of integrity, you have to answer the question, what is it that you fear about yourself? And so if this has given you great value this morning in this conversation on having a winner's mindset, do me a favor. If you're still watching me live, Click the thumbs up button, give me a like. Share this on your favorite social media platform. And if you're new to Real Men Rising YouTube channel, where we share helpful tips to inspire men like yourself to lead by love and integrity, subscribe to the channel, click the alert notification button, and be a part of the conversation of real men that are making a difference in raising the standard of manhood, not just in their lives, but in the generation to come. And so that's it for the content this morning. And so if you have gotten great value out of this discussion on having a winning mindset as a man, let me know, even if you're watching the replay, in the comment section. And let me know in the comment section, what is your deepest fear? To me, what that poem is saying, it's not about in terms of fearing another person or fearing a certain circumstance that may happen to us. Sometimes our deepest fear is about what we fear about who we can become. We're afraid of who we can become, and we don't know if it's possible that we can be that person. We can let our light shine. We can tap into the power and the greatness that God has placed in us. So let me know in the chat. Well, that's it for this episode of Man Talk Live here on Real Men Rising channel, Real Men Rising YouTube channel. And we'll see you on the next episode of Man Talk Live. God bless.